I'd like to call the last board meeting of the 2023 to order. Roll call, please.
Mr. Cottrell is absent. Mrs. Grandison,
Here.
Mrs. Host,
Here.
Mr. Miles,
Here.
and Mrs. Wolf.
Please stand for the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Under accommodations, I'd like to offer our sympathy to Heather and Daylin O'Connor for the loss of their mother-in-law. And do we have any other accommodations? Okay, we'll go into administrative reports. We'll start up.
Yep. Well, Kevin Butner is here from
Butner.
Omega Grant. And he's going to talk about the grant that we've been working on with the Village of Denison and the City of Uriksville since probably about March, February of last year, or actually of this year. So the floor is Kevin's.
Make sure it's on. So my name is Kevin Butner. I'm the Transportation Director at Omega, which is a regional planning organization that covers Tusk County. City of Uriksville reached out to us and we roped in the village and the school district, but we put together a safe routes to school travel plan for the entire district. This plan helps make both the city and village eligible to go after grant funding for improved sidewalks, improved intersections, getting signage, the flashing speed limit signs, and a host of other things to make it easier for kids to walk and bike safely to and from school. But it can happen anywhere within a 2-mile radius of these schools, so it pretty much covers the entire city and village. The grants that the city and village can go after are up to $500,000 per round, and there is no local match, so it is the closest thing to free grant money that you can see for infrastructure that have been out there. A lot of other neighboring school districts have completed this thing and have been successful in getting the grant funding, so we were very confident, especially when we looked at where the projects were and where the students lived in proximity to the school, that you guys have all the right ingredients for success for this grant cycle. So tonight we're asking the board to review the plan and ultimately to approve before we submit this to ODOT, which will probably submit in January for their review and final approval. That would make the city eligible, but the big components of the plan, first couple chapters just introductory. We did send out a survey, and you'll see some places where the data looks like there's only 8 kids walking, but it's proportional to the amount of surveys that we get. So we don't look at the actual number. We kind of see, okay, if we get 50, but let's say 50 people replied and 10 of them are walking, then we have a decent proportion of walkers versus people that get bused or getting driven to school. So don't read too much into those numbers, but the big things are, what are the parents saying? Why are kids not walking and biking during school? And a lot of times it's sidewalks or pathways are the top one, or the safety of intersections or crossings, the fact that traffic's going far too fast for them to feel safe. So those are things that we can tackle with some of these projects with either traffic calming, different signage, better sidewalks, the whole kit and caboodle. Section 5 of the plan, if you're going through it, is where a lot of these projects are. So you're going to see them, they're scattered all over Denison and Uriksville. They tackle all kinds of things from removal of the old railroad crossing way out on Trenton, all the way to the intersection right here in front of this building, and all over the place, everywhere in between. And it impacts every single school in the district. Not as much. A little more aspiration. Everyone is accounted for. Section 6 and 7 will start to do public input as of tonight. We need to let us support from all that. So those are not complete. Everything else will wrap up.
I just want to add that in July, there was a walkthrough through the village and through the city with Kevin and
Right.
So with the change of administration in Eurosville, looks like it's the first that's coming around. Then Eurosville with that. The next round, they're going to be each other. Girls here off. But an engineer would provide a cost estimate, and they're not going to be able to achieve all of these projects at once, but we keep going back to this grant. Potential, basically every 2 to 3 years. Once one is under construction, we can apply for the next one. So
And they're about to kind of each grant cycle, or they?
it's up to $500,000 per grant cycle per grant. There is. They just increased it. It used to be about 4 million. It's about 8 million statewide. But they generally prefer they have funded award and kind of get bonus points. So here on this, and the first time they apply, will be allocated quite closely to the top of this. But that said, we've had some repeat successes. City of Cambridge, for instance, I think they've got it about 5 times in the past 10 years. So it is doable. Maybe part of the market people trying to think their kids live close to school. It's not.
Yeah, that's great. I mean, I read through it. My mind always goes to like the dollar cards. I'm like, okay, we were able to achieve all this. I felt like there's some that was in collaboration. Like, okay, well, $500,000 getting us.
Do the free rounds. Based on what they're asking for. That's just a process.
Yeah, that's fine. I'm not gonna push it, but I promise.
Within which,
Yeah.
but there's a fairly straightforward replacement of some sidewalks. Some intersection for the stop. So many other ones, you're also going to be more starting from the baseline. So areas that not also. So you have to completely construct it versus fencing. It won't do some of the curb gutter as well as that house. It really depends on the state program. You're still on the same problem.
So you do it in, it'll just be, this is the first step, we're gonna apply for this much money, then if we have to agree, go back in.
They would go back in.
And then when you're going back in for the second grant, because we're already did grant one, it kind of moves us, keeps moving you up the ladder, right?
That and depending on what you're leveraging, so our other programs help do similar things. There's one that we're going to have small transportation alternatives, which is the sister program in this.
Right.
That is not necessarily tied to the school, but can be. So we leverage both of those sources now instead of go from $500,000 to possibly. So we kind of hope each municipality figure out
Where the money is.
Basically, we're the platform for the village and the city to get their access their money. So then if we can promote students walking to school more effectively. Because we do have some folks saying, well, there's no sidewalk in this particular area, and they're within the radius of walking. So this will help them if they are achieve this grant. So,
Thank you.
but you need us to approve this plan.
Tonight.
So approval does not necessarily have to be tonight if you want to approve it with passing.
Okay.
January, it's fine.
So we could approve it in January.
Is that too late for you to submit your?
Okay,
No, because we need, we'll actually get this from tonight's meeting to go approve all of our participation.
okay.
It all kind of like.
Since you have extra copies, could I get 2 extra copies? We have 2 new board members in January. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for your time.
Kevin has put in a lot of work with this project. So as we said, February, March, we've been working on it, and then he's been there every step of the way, seeing this through. So we do have a follow-up meeting at January 9th to start this process. So we're continuing working on it. So thank you.
We're going to administrative reports. Cindy, we'll start out with you about our careers.
We're still working on the Buckeye House. It's coming along, it's actually going quite well. We were awarded some grant money, we're looking at facility for medical component of the Buckeye offers, so that's kind of exciting. So get more information on that probably our next week's our board meeting.
Thank you. Oh, you have anything from the day? Unfortunately, you have to, yeah.
An allegation, was reported to the union regarding a possible, violation from the board. The allegation is that a board member contacted a person for a football coaching position and offered them the job and more money than the supplemental pays per our negotiated agreement. This is very concerning if this did in fact happen. CEA will be submitting a public records request related to any and all communications for this football coaching position. Should the allegations be found to be true, this would be a violation resulting in a grievance for our negotiated agreement and a ULP, which is an unfair labor practice for direct dealing. On a more positive note, I would like to put out another accommodation to all of our staff, our district, and our community for the money we raised for Tusky Valley and the Career Center. And I know it was in your Friday focus. I think it was over 1,100.
Over 1,100 for Tusky Valley, and we gave over 400 for Carrollton. Carrollton.
And so I did hear on the radio this morning that between all the families affected and the trust that they did, I heard it was over 400,000. That the communities, surrounding communities, and even people outside of the pact have even been donating to help these families and things. So I'm overwhelmed that the support that not only our district did, but all of our surrounding districts, communities, state, and country around. So all I have.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Was there anything for OC?
No.
And we have all the administrators reports, so anybody have any questions?
I do.
Okay.
On the intermediate report, I was reading through the grant. So in the highlights, it says transform the school library into a stimulating space with greatly benefit our community and culture. I'm really just, and we can do this some other time via a phone call or email to me, but I'm just really interested in how that works, how that's good, what benefits there's going to be to our community and to our culture by doing. I think it's great that we're doing this convention land grant that you guys are awarded. So congratulations on that. I'm just a little bit more interested in the nuts and bolts side of really how we perceive or how that is going to impact our community and our culture.
Further, in addition to all of that, really, I think it comes from the background, something that happened after we sort of get in touch with the money. If our school is convention to other schools, we focus on the library and that's actually one of the requirements that I would be available to answer other people's questions and kind of fill that sort of come look at our library, what we've done with it. So that's one of the ways. The second thing that we just had a 30-minute Zoom call over last week, where we had our first initial just kind of was like a step of the let's say, where we got to kind of understand what needs to be submitted. So really the idea of the culture is that it's going to be a space where both students and staff can utilize it in the same front. And the culture comes from having sort of an upgraded state-of-the-art facility to use. Just the excitement that will increase it. You know, that all that happens when you walk into something that just looks new and different. That's part of the culture experience.
So it won't really be open to our community per se.
I think it's totally be available. We would have to purchase that. Just like any of our spaces, we can fill out it. They want to use it.
Well, I guess that's what I'm asking. I'm trying to ask you your intent. That's
So,
right.
I mean, absolutely, if someone has to use it, I mean, it would just be following the other protocol that we we already have the same specific like to the gym. You know, right now in basketball, the wrestling, and the we just follow that. Okay, thanks.
Any other questions on the report?
Okay, ready?
Uh,
In your board packets, you were given 2 draft calendars. It has come to our attention that we were initially looking at, some parent-teacher conferences around the 31st. So, if you didn't, and, turn your porch light on, you wouldn't know that that would have been Halloween. So we're gonna have to take a look at readjusting some of those, that calendar to make those adjustments. So Mrs. Miles and I will be getting back together to make those changes and sending it back to the calendar committee. But those are some drafts. One draft has us starting with draft A, the 19th of August with staff, and school would officially be out June 4th for students. And then draft B, school would start with staff on the 14th of August. And then this last day for students would be the 29th of May. So there are those are the major significant differences, because we still have on those calendars, Thanksgiving would be the Wednesday through the following Monday, and Christmas break is still at the same time. And then there's also a change with spring break on draft A. So those are some changes that have been presented, and we'll go back to the drawing board regarding Halloween and parent-teacher conferences. So, and I wanted to bring up as far as, sorry, Steve, but since you're an exiting board member, I wanted to kind of bring up the topic of Chromebook usage for us as staff member or board members. So if I've already talked to Solomon regarding this, about each one of us would have a Chromebook, and our board agendas and our reports would be all attached within the Chromebook. And that way, but the evening of a board meeting, you still have your hard copies. So last several months, I've been trying to give you a digital copy as well as a paper copy prior to. But this way you'd have access to that through the Chromebook, it'd be school issued, and you would go into a Google Drive. And then if we move forward with this, we'll get a tutorial on how it would work. But go to the Google Drive, and the agendas would be dropped in there as well as the reports for us. And then that's where it would store those for every meeting. So I don't know if anybody is thoughts on having a Chromebook and having that access. Some schools do board docs. So if you've gone to any of the conferences, there's some of the board docs is a platform that does the same thing. This would be our own platform through Google Drive.
But if we do that, would we be able, like, for guys' updates and stuff, if we drop that stuff in there instead of having an email, so that everything related to the board is in one spot, or?
They could be dropped there.
So,
Yes.
so when like Amy or Jessica, anybody sends us a report, it'll all just already be dropped in there.
Yeah. What I'm thinking is taking that. There's it'd be what we call a shared drive. So all of us would have access to it as a shared drive. And then we would drop those reports in there and be in a folder. Or for the hard copies.
Of just the agenda
I
or
could
all
do-
the backup stuff too?
I could just do the agenda because you do have copies of the presentations.
Save a tree.
Yeah, I'm with Lois. Save the tree. I mean, I would just want the agenda. I wouldn't want, which is great. We obviously read them all, but it's just a lot of paper.
Yeah, okay, then we'll look forward to that. I'll talk to Martha whenever I do see her. But we'll get you guys set up here between now and in January, and get you with your Chromebook and show you how we look to make this
Do
work.
we have to have the Chromebook, or can we use our own laptop and log in?
You could use a laptop. I was just only offering with the school.
Well, and I have 2 laptops already.
Yeah,
Not that I wouldn't appreciate another Chromebook, but I think my point is more like, do you want us to have Chromebooks for the security of the district? Or if it's on the shared drive and it's only shared drive, it won't matter what I'm I mean, like we use shared drive for other things.
Yeah,
I mean, most, and I use it for the
yeah.
Booster Club fundraiser thing.
It
So,
doesn't make a difference whether it's a Chrome, what your own personal or, but it's your access through your account to that secured
okay.
system.
Oh, so we can use our own.
You
So
can
I
use
can
it,
use
so
my-
you don't have
okay.
to use
I
a
don't need a
Chromebook. Okay,
I prefer to have my own piece of equipment.
you got yours? Michelle, would you want a Chromebook?
No, I
Okay. Chromebook? Okay, all right, then we'll go that measure, sorry. So that didn't mean to put you there, but it kick you out to the curb, even though this is your last one. Yeah. So, the last thing I'm gonna ask Beth to pull up and share the screen is a presentation from Titan Energy. And I'm gonna ask Beth and Kim to kind of jump in here as we go through the presentation. We have sat with Titan Energy, two presentations. Actually, Kim and I have sat through three, because Titan Energy is endorsed by Marisa, our ITC. And what they have presented to us would be a potential plan for solar panels. So if you could go to the next slide. It's a PDF. So just
I guess my next slide is
scroll down. So, yeah, so the consulting process, the project overview, solar layout and production specifications, cost savings dashboard, next steps, and if we have any questions, if we move forward. So the scroll there, what they did was a utility review for our school system, and they did an audit. And so from our utility, and they verified that and coming through with the cost of how much energy do our schools use. And we narrowed our focus down specifically down to the high school. Why the high school was because there's land availability. We're very reluctant to putting anything on our roofs, just because of the fact of the length of our roofs. And they say if you put it on a roof and they last 25 years, then you're changing out your roof as well and changing out the solar panels. But so we just said, let's focus just on the high school. So if you scroll the next one. So what they're saying for our high school project, they have the best case, medium case, and worst case scenario of our savings. So our savings, if we did potentially move forward, would be worst case, $1,016,863. And the best case would be the $1,505,225. And that's over a 25-year period. So taking a look at those. And Kim did submit the bills or had the bills. So you want to touch upon how they maybe ran that report or?
I printed off a couple bills and of course I left them on my desk, but yeah, they had asked for, I can't remember how many months, because this has been a couple of months ago, we started this process, but and this company also has helped me over the last couple years. That's who also does our gas, goes out and gets our gas and electric cost for a consortium. So we are locked in with electric through, we said June of 25 is what our current rate goes to. So when they're looking at this, they're looking, projecting out electric cost past that, because right now we've got a fixed rate. So they looked at our usage and our rate as is, and then like I said, projected out what they feel we will use over the next 25 years, as you see in the cost section.
So if you scroll to the next one, they initially took a look at the cornfield and they thought, well, they don't need to use the whole cornfield. But they just said, this is about the amount of space we would look. So we were kind of in negotiating if we move forward, does it have to be road frontage? Could it be, along a different path? There's still farmable land if this project would go forward. But this is what they're technically looking at. They're taking, it's about a quarter of that acreage is what they would need to use. The company that comes in and would put this in, this would be at no cost to the district. It's just a use of the land. So they have to maintain the solar panels, the field that they're in, they'll be fenced in as well. So you
I
go,
had even asked about, because he actually presented at one of our recent meetings not too long ago, I'm like, what about, you know, do we have to make sure we mow or can we bring gravel? And he's like, you guys don't do anything, we will handle the maintenance of the whole thing for 25 years.
We already own this land, right?
Yes, and the only thing that we do lease this land out to, for farming.
Mhm.
And I think well, we get $1,000 a year for it. So even if we take a little bit of this, if we can position it right and still lease out the other part. If we want to continue
Yeah.
to do that.
They maintain the land, they maintain underneath it, so is that of a cost to us for the maintenance?
No,
No cost.
nothing. Yep. And then the next slide or that we have, this shows the usage and whenever we, the site usage and whether it's solar production. Obviously, the production's higher from May through September. But then our usage actually goes back into school hours as far as, or school months when we're in session. You know, our gym is used quite a bit even during the building itself is used quite a bit during the summer months. But that would show the usage that we have there. So the site usage, for example, in January for site usage would be 96,640, and then solar production would be 55,000. Okay, so at the end of there, the total is a difference about 100,000 between the usage and production. And then the next slide just basically shows what the scenarios would be. So this would be a low savings. No, this would be the high savings. Am I right? Yes, yeah, the high savings of, and saying because the solar panels are new, we'll get more production as the newer they are, and as they get older, the less production we'll get from them. But they broke down the savings, and the savings over that period would be best case scenario that $1.5 million. And then the next one is the medium scenario, which would give you a savings of 1.2. And then the final one would be the 1,016,863. And then the last little piece on it is what's our next steps. If we choose to move on, we would write a RFP with Titan Energy, and we go out and bid for clients. And then they'd have a site demonstration and review the bid process, and then the board would obviously approve the contractors, but you also have to approve the RFP that would be